All right, everybody. Hi. So it's Leslie and Susan, and Kristen is teaching back in the corner. So we'll see lessons today. So it is towards the end of September, and we have been, yay, kind of really working our way at making different resources for clients. So this is basically our client resource for this coming week. The topic we've been exploring in different perspectives is the idea of compression. Compression is, where we close off paths of movement that we have in our torso or in our legs or our arms. And it closes off somehow by too much tension in wrong areas, by not knowing the relationship, right? One of the things we have to do, this is next month's skill set. One of the things we have to do is we have to learn how our bones and literally one bone has a relationship to the other bone and how it feels to work around a joint, right? Structure, shoulder, hip for sure. And to avoid the overdo or underdo, right? How do we get our effort point in the middle, right? So we're going to look at a couple examples where we're going to do some examples. Everybody practices these that do Pilates. They are round flexion type movements, but they are spinal articulations, the roll back. We're also going to look at extension and like a side lying. So you have a couple different varieties that you can kind of chew. So these are things you can do with us, okay, for sure. Or you can ask us about it when you come back in the studio and you practice, right? Or if you're not an active client with us, you could engage us and just kind of ask your questions. We'll try to help out as much as we can. Okay. All right. So Susan, we're going to do the roll back. So this looks like it's a little high up the spring. Ugh. So we're going to bring this down here. Okay, so if you don't have a tower and you're practicing at house, this would be the how I get down to the floor. That's what this is about. But in the studio, we're using the spring so we can really take a long, slow time with it and go through all the juicy details. All right, so Susan's going to connect her feet. We would want our feet. The interesting thing about foot, she can push into something, but if you're at your house, you're going to send your heel down. And then she's going to check that her legs are not blocked up, tense, tight, super like, oh, perfect. She just needs to get her legs to go into the ground and go forward. Okay. So Susan, for you, just tip back a little bit behind your legs and your sits bones there. Just feel like you kind of lean back. So she's going to lean back a little bit. Okay. Now, what she's going to want to put on the mat first is she's going to want to put the base of her pelvis on the mat, correct? Without shortening her back. That's our big message today. So for Susan, let's say she goes back now because I know she won't hurt herself. So she goes back, but that feels kind of a little funky, huh? Yeah. So her back just got squished, right? So we don't need that. So we have to make a change. So she's going to be a little bit back, but she's going to need to change this part. She's going to do release my legs, walk my hips closer to the front. Love it. Now, Susan, if you start to roll back, is that so much more natural to you that you can start to put weight in your sacrum, but your back is fine here? Looks like it to me, right? Yay, the work works, guys. Okay, so basically, Susan's going to keep her back really lifted, but she's going to fully articulate motion through her hips. So you have to flex the pelvis, right? You're going to rotate. So you're going to rotate, 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 right? She's going to get everything nice and long in her hips, and her back is still fine, guys. Okay, so she gets her pelvis totally nice and clear. And then look, gravity, it wins. Her back is still fine. She's going to bring her shoulders back. She has this lovely head and neck. Okay, so I think again, getting down is always the easiest part, right? So we're going to use our same idea. We need to come around the hip. The hip is the main joint that we're mobilizing here, right? The leg around the hip here. So we need to do that in a way that we don't lose space we have in our spine. So Susan, your direction will be away from the tower. I'm going to have you reach away through your head. And then again, just be open-minded about your legs. Don't lock them, don't bend them, just see what happens, but be connected and clear. Okay. And then she's going to start to just do a little bit of flex her neck. That's enough. And then she just elevates her upper body because the spring's going to pull her up. Okay, good. So I think you could chill out right there. All right. So Susan, your direction is the pelvis needs to turn, but the spine has to stay long. So that is back and away from, right? So she's going back and away, back and away. You can see it right here. You can see it so clearly. So you're just going to keep coming back and away and let your back muscles lift. Ah, stretch my back. So she's going to release her back away from her pelvis. Her pelvis goes forward, forward, forward. Her back muscles go up, away, up, away. And then because you can see it, go ahead and take your forward release. And then she can kind of check. Wow, does my back feel really good with that? Holy smokes, yeah, huh? I love it. All right. So are you happy with it? I mean, I'm happy with it. It looks awesome, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not important how it looks. The big deal is how it feels.
It was feel.
Yeah.
It was more rotation and
Okay.
I think in my head I normally rotate that much that I'm checking.
Okay. Okay.
It was so long.
Yeah. Yeah. So guys, I'm going to give Susan one of my earbuds because they can't hear you, but I can hear you. So I'll just share it real quickly. Is her feedback was like, wow, that felt so different than what I'm used to feeling. There is so much more mobility in her hips. So the hips are basically like, it's your engine. Your hips are the engine of the spine. And we need to balance our joints all the way up through. So, long story short, yeah, let's share some of that a little bit. So I think, clean it off. Okay, your right side. It's your right. Yeah. Okay. Right. So Susan's gonna go, guys, to the swan.
Okay.
Okay. So we're gonna turn over. So essentially, she's going to reach her hips long away. Susan, can you do the swan up? Yeah. So the hips are that engine. I can see. So now the challenge here again, where do we shorten, guys? Shortening is going to be like kind of these like thicker, more developed area muscular, right? So our back is still blocky. Backs are strong, thank goodness, right? Your back is the balance of your front. So if she really gets her pelvis like long, nice and spongy back legs, then she's going to go forward through the rest of her body. So she's going to use appropriate arms and shoulders. And what we need to do a lot of is upper thoracic. We have to reverse the curvature of the upper spine here without falling down into these sections. Okay, and then the okay, so Susan, on this one, we're going to do a couple times. So you inhale, go through. Good. And then I'm just going to assist her a little bit. I'm just going to give her just a light pull. Yeah. And then exhale. Okay, so for Susan and I, and many people who have this pattern strongly in their body about them, really using their back strength to get through things. What it might feel like is it feels like a belly stretch. It might actually feel like the abdominal wall. So that's what we're going to try to do. Okay, so I'm going to have her come through here. Now stay in pause because I know you have to stay for it. Bring your hands a little more forward. Now wide with your fingers, so the motion can go through all of your digits and fingers. Okay. Now underneath your shoulders. Underneath your shoulders. That's right. Okay. And now why don't you explore your ability to so you're welcome to change your arms anytime. So you don't want to push up with your arms. So like you should bring this knee out here. Okay. And then Susan's going to go ahead and crawl up. She's going to see how far she can stretch herself to. It doesn't feel like she was totally different.
I have
So
to.
that's like a beautiful
Uh, yeah. I definitely have to involve the pelvis more.
Yeah, go ahead and share. You got the other.
Yeah. It's the whole tucking that I was talking about earlier in the rollback of I feel like I have to engage my pelvic clock into what would normally in my brain I would think is tucking, but it's not tucking. It's actually releasing the hip and just engaging the pelvis and then back more.
Right. Right. So you hear us engaging Susan's discussion with me is what it feels like to be a body in practice. It's so helpful because it's beautiful work, but intentions and path of motion, how you do Pilates, really determines, right? Story of my life. So, Pilates can be very stiff. But I'm not interested in that. I want flesh, full, bouncing. So it's this idea around her hip. She has to work enough musculature in the low belly area that she can also really extend her hip to the range. So this is not only for your back guys, but you have to get the hip extended. So she has to open up the front of her hip joint and really practice what the bridge feels like in the muscle. Okay, so she's going to come on down. We'll start the other back in just a second. The last thing we're going to show you today is the back line. Awesome. You can, yeah, if you want to like flip over your back a little second, or you can go right to it.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Okay, so this one I think is pretty quick translation. Yeah, so I would kick your legs a little more forward. Okay, that's good. So guys, really, so this is Susan's legs down here. She has them stacked nicely. This is Susan's torso. Susan's torso starts here, and then Susan's torso needs to go completely long and out. So again, she's going to actually decompress her back muscles by keeping her healthy ab tone, and her back is nice and free. But this is so cool. Check it out. She's going to press her hip. Okay. Right. So energy, right? Tension brings tension. Energy creates healthy appropriate. So if I spot her here, Susan, your probably, I think, direction that you're going to want to do is like your swan up. You're going to go through the swan this way. Susan's going to test her hip range by pressing her thigh behind her. And she's going to see where she can avoid twisting her body or squeezing her back muscles. She's going to kind of test the tension from her tummy muscles in the front. She's got it. Now she's going to release her leg to the front, which means she's going to bend her hip, and she's going to her leg to the front, and then she goes and does it a couple times. So I just do a couple reps each side. Beautiful. Right. So what do we have? Wow, this is totally more skill, isn't it? Yeah. So I can see her. You'll see it on the other side when she flips over, but she has to lengthen her back for her body to move like this. So her hip, again, she has to go around her hip joint in a circular direction. I love this. This work is like really, right? Cool. So that's pretty awesome. So the other side.
Flip.
Yeah, you're gonna flip. Show them. So it wasn't there. Great. So this is the whole body. And she has just off the beat, that helping up the front. Right? She's got nice helping her here. And then look, also the main areas are starting to right, Susan, test it out. Let's see how far your side can go back. And then go ahead, pick up. And then go back. Go all the way for a that down. Keep looking down. Go back. Go back. That's just exciting year.
Yes.
Really awesome.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you go ahead and lie all the way back. Yeah, when you're down to the side, send her back. Your chest.
Look at that.
Place your hands flat on my chin.
And then she has to find the appropriate tension.
Your thumbs up and stretch your other leg forward. One foot on the strap, you know, and there is one over there. Great.
That side is my tighter side. I could feel a little bit less range of motion on the left side, just because of the way.
Yeah.
But that lengthening down and out grounded me more on the hip that was on the ground. Like I felt more placed and stable.
Right. Yeah. So again, Susan's kind of sharing. Movement is fascinating because movement can be your metaphor. Science, you're a living system. So really the part she's kind of picking up is that each piece is helping the other part. Right? If something in your body, so number one, leg is straight up to the ceiling. So if you have left your head down, structure, you have like less so that is you can do, right? And you won't be able to absorb force very well because you won't be able to double leg stretch. So we all know those days like it feels like your back is tight. Right. So the back is both shortened up and that's not as strong. Did you say so that? I thought so length is free. We want that. Left my back almost kind of found that including one kind of little piece give the highlight. So she found everything. That's great.
Yeah, it goes to the mentality of it too. Like you had said before, that the length is the strength, and that made me think. I feel like with like workouts, we're taught like clenching a muscle is strong, right? And so I think that's the mindset that needs to adjust a little bit too. That actually lengthening it is what's going to make it stronger. You're not contracting and holding it to make it strong.
I agree. Yeah. So hopefully this shows. I really do hope that you can really so Susan kind of found that little idea. I think that's a whole other message about a gripping habit, what it's like to know how to shorten the muscle as opposed to make something longer. Really, it's the dance and the dynamic ability to do both, to do both skill sets. So tension, right? So tension and shortening. What it's like to grip your muscles, right? So Pilates, as well as any other exercise we teach, is that it's really the opposite side, the dynamic. Right. So anyway, I hope you had fun. Thank you so much. I love moving. Susan loves moving. We all exercise here for sure, but more our bodies and having options and finding solutions for chronic habits that feel like they make them smaller and not. Okay. See you later. Yes. Now, don't go.